God. Hear me by the Spirit of God. Hear me by the Spirit of God. And understand this, that where God is taking you is much higher. I will never forget when the Lord spoke to me and told me about what I am going to do. When the revelation of what I am supposed to do came to me, I realized that what God wanted me to do was not going to end in a living room or in one place. God's mind was for all nations to be gathered wherever He will send me.
Amen.
So whenever God is about to bless you, He gives you the nations.
Amen.
I want us to look at the verse 3. Blessed shall thou be in the city, and blessed shall thou be in the field. So the manifestation of God's blessing starts in the city, and it starts with everything that you lay your hands on.
Amen.
So as God is building you up, as God is increasing you, the first level of God's increase begins to show up in whatever you lay your hands on and wherever He sends you. Verse 4, watch this. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, and the increase of thy kin, and the flock of thy sheep. The increase will begin by everybody that was born of you.
Come on.
Before your cattle increase, before your finances increase or they get multiplied, the first action that God sets His sight on is your children. The reason why you're struggling with your kids right now is because this word is about to be fulfilled in them.
Yes.
Amen. I feel like I'm talking to myself. So you begin to wonder, I raised my child well. All of a sudden they're rebellious. All of a sudden they're not listening. All of a sudden they are sick. All of a sudden they are sickly. But these things were not always there. In order for the word to be fulfilled, there are changes that have to eradicate everything that is unclean and everything that is not of God.
Amen.
So before, you see, if God increases you and your children are not changed, who is going to continue what you started?
It's good.
I feel like I'm talking to myself. Who is going to work on? Who's going to work on? Who is going to increase what God has blessed you? Because if your children are not aligned with what God has for you, do you know what will happen? Your children will become the source of your pain. Satan is a master of using what you love the most against you, especially if it is not changed. So what God will usually do is that He will put your children through a process. Just like you're going through a process, your children will also go through challenges and a process, because God is trying to bring a level of purification,
Yes.
so that the increase can come.
Amen.
Because as long as they are not changed, if the increase comes, there will be problems that will arise.
Amen. Good. Really good.
Verse 5. Blessed shall be thy basket and thy storehouse. Meaning the curse that has been causing your finances to dry up. You can't save any money because your basket is what you gather. Your storehouse is what you keep. Many of you have found yourselves in places whereby you have spent even what was in your storehouse. You're looking at each other like crickets. Hey, what was in the checking that we use every day is depleting. Now the storehouse. You start looking at yourself saying, Father, hey. Father, what is happening? Father, what is going on? Life was not always like this. What is going on? Wherever God's blessing is going to come, they will be challenged. But the challenge is to increase whatever God has allowed to be tested. If our faith is not tested, we cannot expand. But the blessing and the storehouse that God is talking about is not the physical one. He is speaking about your spiritual capacity. Because the enemy can only consume what is outside of you, not what God has put in his jurisdiction within you.
Come on. Amen.
So if your basket is not in God's hands, it will not be able to gather. You will not be able to have shaken together and running over. Pressed down, running over won't happen. You will barely gather anything. And then there is the storehouse. The storehouse is when they're running over, you're pushing it to the storehouse. Because God doesn't believe in waste. I thought I would hear a bigger amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
So when God increases you, He begins with your children, then your cattle, then now God begins to work on where you catch the blessing. Because if you have the field without a harvest, you're still not winning. Now, am I communicating with somebody?
Yes.
If you have a harvest but you have no storehouse to save all that was in the field, you're still not winning.